because one thing that really comes to mind, top of mind, is I know you love basketball. I do as well. And hearing the Michael Jordan quote of him saying like he's missed, I think like over 10,000 shots,
Uh-huh.
and they
Uh-huh.
still counting on him. I think it was 26 times in order for him to make that final shot, even after missing so many. It just
Uh-huh.
really shows you that not giving up. I think if I want anybody to learn from failure, is just not giving up and being able to persist and be resilient towards whatever it is that you do fail at, because a failure today probably won't be the same failure tomorrow. And in fact, if you actually fail, you can actually make it a bigger opportunity for yourself.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stay grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential. Yeah, like what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.
Yo, what it do?
What's good, man? What's good?
I can remember the first time you did that. I was just like, what is this guy even talking about? When you did that,
What do you
whoa,
mean?
yo, what it do? I got that from you, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you actually used it on the rag.
Not really. It's really when I'm just talking to you, just because I know it's your thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how you
I
doing,
don't
man?
know where I
Oh, go
picked
ahead.
it up. I can't remember where I picked it up, but it's one of those things. It's just it sticks.
Yeah, it's just you don't hear it often. Not only that, but it's clever. It's like what it do? But anybody can say that instead of saying what's up. Somebody can be like, what it do?
Yeah.
Now, anybody that says it outside of this group here, you and I, we know exactly where they got it from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't know what was just. I don't know if you remember. There's one clip with Serge Ibaka and Kawhi in the car, and then I think it was
no, it's something else.
That was
He
something
says,
else, but I feel like it's similar to that, if you get what I'm saying.
what did he say?
I think it was Fun Guy and there's something. No, Fun Guy was
yeah,
afterwards. That was Kawhi interview, but he said something about like I can't remember.
You're making
You
me
gonna
look it up right now just because I have to. What it do, baby?
Yeah,
That's what it
what
was.
it do? Yeah, it's the
That
same
was when
thing.
they announced that partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's when
how
he
you doing, man?
officially went to Clippers. But I'm doing good, man. I'm doing pretty fine. Nothing has really changed, I would say, since last week.
Gotcha.
Everything's been pretty relatively normal, and I would say the same. How about yourself?
Yeah, I in the same boat. A lot more challenges being thrown at me these days, but you find a way to keep yourself afloat and keep pushing, right? So it's that
Yeah.
transition and looking at how you can make the right decision and take the right action to move forward.
Yeah, and that's it. Keep pushing. I think that's gonna go ahead and be right on task for what we're gonna talk about today. So, but beforehand, everybody, welcome to episode 53. You thought I was gonna do the other stuff, not just yet. Welcome to episode 53. We're gonna kick things off immediately, but before we do so, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, leave us those reviews. Let us know where we're good. Let us know where we're bad at, so that we can go ahead and improve and make ourselves better for you guys all. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and it came from
Can I
me
say
reading
something
this book.
before? Can I say something before we jump into this?
Come on, man. How you gonna interrupt me like that?
My bad, y'all.
Go
I
ahead,
just cut
go
you
ahead,
off
go
right in the
ahead, kill
middle
it.
of
Go
your
ahead and kill it.
momentum.
Go
But
ahead and
I think it's important.
for
I
real.
think it's important. I think it's important. Like, one thing I want to say, like, I appreciate your consistency with, like, keeping our audience up to date with what are like some of the stuff that we're doing, and like, always remembering to have them, at the forefront of what we're working towards. So by that I mean I want to make sure that you're appreciated for that and you're recognized for your effort. Um, and also I want to make sure that those who listen to us on a regular basis know that this platform is also available to you. Yes, we talk about the topics that we have. We have a set of guideline in terms of what we're looking to have on the platform, but just know that your voice matter. And if you ever need to get beyond just those feedbacks that you leave, those reviews, those reposts on Instagram, or those shout out that you put out there, this platform is yours for you to also have a voice. And I think moving forward, this is a platform where it will be for the people, and built by the people. So I just wanted to put it out there because you talk, you often, every time we start these episodes, you go about, bringing those people up front and letting them know how we're moving forward. So I think it's great to kind of let them know, hey, yes, we may recognize you for like the first 2 to 3 minutes of this segment, but if you ever need a place to just rant and then share your story and experiences, we're here. We're one email away, one phone call away, one text message away from making some, an impactful, shift in what you have to say. So yeah, I kind of just want to throw it out there.
No, thank you for throwing that out, but I have to be the bad guy here and say, next time you want to cut me off, man, say that stuff for the end. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that, all right?
I hear you, bro. I hear you.
It's all love here.
I just wanted to get it out the way before I forget, man. Before I forget, you know me with how I move.
Yeah, I had to get you back because you hate when I go ahead and go on my spiel. So I just have to make sure that the people know that it's vice versa here. Whenever he gives me bad blood, I'll give him bad blood right back. But before I was really interrupted, episode 53, yes, we are here. I mean, it's just rolling and rolling, man. Could you imagine we're already at the end of January? Goodness.
Yeah.
The years is going, man. The years.
It is. It is.
But yes, today we're going to talk about, as you can see from the title and everything, why is failure good? And where did this all come about? Of course, we're here to kind of give you guys more empowerment and things of that nature to do on a daily basis, as I do, as we both do, honestly, do on a daily basis. But I was reading this book, and it mentioned failure, and why is it good? And I was just like, I've never heard somebody say failure being good. Well, actually, let me take that back. I've heard it, but I just never actually read it in the book where someone, like, explicitly said failure is good for whatever reason, whatever you're trying to do. And so I was like, you know what? I think we haven't really spoke about failure before. Yes, we probably have brought up times and moments where things weren't the greatest, but I don't think we dove deep into failure and itself and just what it means for us specifically. So anyone that's really listened to us, there's always victory towards anything that you go through. And typically, in my personal opinion, wherever the victory is, it's always going to be after the most difficult time you've experienced something. And so, as we all know, we all fail at something. And I mean, if you live a perfect life and you haven't failed, man, God bless you. You live one hell of a life. I'll tell you that right now. But for myself, I mean, I've experienced it. I'm sure Francis has experienced it. And I kind of want to get, just kick things off and hear from you, Francis, first by saying, what failures have you failed at before? Or have you failed at anything before? I should start, right? Instead of assuming.
I think before I answer that question, I'm going to throw that ball back at you and kind of ask that question, what do you define as failure?
See, I knew we were going to get here. And I knew in my notes, honestly, this is all for everybody watching, listening, all that good stuff. Failure is what you decide failure to be, right? That's first I'm going to let off. But the quote-unquote definition of what everybody can find on the internet, failure is defined as a lack of success or the inability to meet an expectation. So that is the actual definition, but take failure for what you believe failure is. My personal intake of failure is when you immediately quit something and you do not go back to it. That is my definition of failure.
So I'm going to then define failure in hey, I had to put it out there. just to kind of make sure that as we're moving forward with this topic, we're on the same page. Now that I know what your definition of failure is. But for me, if I have to start right off the bat, failure is a temporary defeat. It's something that is there to allow you to move forward. I think it's a temporary defeat, and it's also a blessing in disguise, because it allows you to discover your other self, discover the other half of you that deserve the work, that deserve all the credit. And once you discover that side of yours, you're able to then move forward and make the necessary, adjustment to your life. I don't know a single person. There's not a single book that I've read where somebody did not go through through some sort of failure. I myself have encountered, a lot of failure over the years, and even very recently, even to this day, you still go through failure, whether it's through relationship, whether it's through finance, whether it's through, partnership with others, right? But it's having that ability to pull yourself out of there and make decisions. Because one thing that plagued me over the years is a couple things. Trying to control the narrative, right? And the second thing is indecision. Indecision mostly because I like to, listen to other people's perspective and opinion when I'm moving. Well, old me. But once you discover the new, your other self, and you discover that you have the potential to make decisions for yourself and change the narrative, be that what I will call the star of your own movie, right? So once you're able to figure that out, you discover two things: that you need to be able to look at your situation, analyze it, and figure out what's the root cause of everything, and pull yourself out of there. So failure is really there to help you, navigate life even better than what you were put in. And 9 times out of 10, like when you have conversation with people, they will tell you that their failure days were probably some of their most enjoyable moments. Because that's really when you put in the work and have to discover what you really built all about. Like who are you? Right? So that's kind of how I see it. But yes, it is stressful. Those are difficult moments where you're like, hey, you could be in a dark scenario, but it's believing in yourself, having the confidence that your action will be able to pull you out of there. So that's kind of how I look at failure.
All right, man, come on,
yes.
don't kill the entire episode already, man.
Bro, you asked me for something, bro. You asked me for something. You said, I'm here. I'm here. All right.
So let's go back. Let's backtrack a bit before we go ahead and spill everything. Make this a 15-minute episode. Have you experienced a failure before? Like, do you have any examples?
Yes, I have examples.
Okay. Do you want to share?
Yes, I do. And the primary example I'm going to use is what most people will know me for. And that was somebody who was really living a flashy lifestyle. Like somebody who was really, at the forefront of when you see me, you will think I got it all figured out in a way. But in the back burner of that, it was seeking happiness, right? Seeking things that I was actually talking about it yesterday with a group of friends. It's seeking that happiness that I did not get as a child, right? You grow up wanting certain things. You grow up, wanting to have, we all want to have the best toys, and, if you like Spider-Man and all these kind of things, whatever. And when you don't get that, you feel a certain way. And I was that guy. The minute I found out a way to get that for myself, I ran with it. But life has a way to humble you. And it's through that phase that you discover really what you're built for, like what you're all about. So I've learned to grow through my failure. And every time that I experience some sort of failure, I see it as a blessing. Most of the people around me don't. And that's one thing that kind of like, I'm like, all right, sure, you don't know me just as much as I know myself, right? But it's that ability to believe in myself, to pull myself out of a situation that keeps me going. And I'm going to keep going at it, despite any sort of failure. How many businesses do you know thrive from the get-go? Few. right? Everybody face bumps out the road, and from those bumps, they're able to reevaluate and find their other self and pull themselves out of there. So that's kind of how I see failure.
So what example is it that you're sharing with everyone that you
Well, my
experienced?
example is, all right, so talking back to the flashy lifestyle, right?
Gotcha.
In college, I probably had every single pair of shoes you can think of, right? And
But is
I,
that go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish.
so at that point, you're like, okay, that was my way of kind of numbing some of the things that I did not get as a child, right? And it carried me all the way throughout of college and into when I started even working corporate. But then you quickly realize that you are trying to seek happiness towards materialistic things. And by having these things, I thought I was comfortable. Even jumping from job to job, you're seeking some sort of contentment. It's not until you're put in a difficult position where you have those things are removed out of the equation, and you realize that, okay, I don't have a way out. How do you pull yourself out of that? So, like, for example, I lost all of that, right? So I had to basically get rid of everything, right, in order to keep moving, whether it's financially or whether it's just in terms of what I needed to get done for myself. I had to sacrifice a lot of that stuff. And it's through that. That's what I meant by life has a way of humbling you. And it's through that you look back and you're like, yeah, those things really didn't matter. So those are the type of failure where it's like, you learn that what I was doing was not as important as I thought it needed to be. But somehow, right? Somehow, I'm here. I'm still breathing. I still get a chance to get up in the morning to make a difference. And as long as I can do that, I'm going to keep going.
It's game on. That's it. No, exactly. I have a few examples myself. My favorite one is when I initially started learning about the stock market, and just trying to figure out, hey, where is everybody building this wealth from? And of course, this is after our trip from Miami. Great time, by the way. So if you weren't there for it, I'm sorry. You couldn't experience it. But it was after that trip, I just my brain started going immediately. It's like, oh, what is everybody really doing to kind of put themselves in different categories? As I was able to see, it's different statuses. It was too much going on. I was just like, I need a piece of this, or I need to understand what's going on. And so that's when we had the conversation about stocks. My biggest failure, I would say not to this day, I would say out of everything, because I'm sure it's something deeper, is if you're familiar with the stock market and you're actually in tune on it, in 2000, I want to say 17, I would say as far as 2016, I bought Tesla shares at a very early age. And then, I sold it just because I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I look at it as my biggest failure because I didn't take the time to really understand it. And now looking at it today and now seeing what it is today is just like, good Lord, imagine if I held on to it. But that's not the only one. I want to share another one because I think, that is just talking about something that, of course, if you knew, of course, you would have held it. That's what we all can say. Another one I want to share is an app idea. I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I still want to see it come to fruition. I'm still promising myself to make it happen. But if it can't happen, it can't happen. But I gave up on the people that were working. Not necessarily gave up, but it's just like it didn't make sense for me to continue working on that. And so I just stopped working on the app idea of bringing that to fruition, which would enable everybody to travel the world a little bit better, which is something I love to do. So that was those two things that immediately when I thought about it, I was like, where did you really fail? Those two things that really came top of mind, just because it's something that is still near dear to my heart, as you guys can see. I will say to this day, the Tesla one doesn't make me too angry because I was able to buy it again, so who cares? But the app idea, definitely. The app, the work that was put into it, the time, the efforts, everything, that didn't sit with me well, simply because it's time and it's people that you're letting down at the same time, not only yourself, but others and at the same time. And, some people may feel like embarrassed, that they gave up. and just letting others down. But it is what it is. Again, like I said, I still have the strives and the aspirations of getting that stuff done. So I look at it as a failure, a temporary failure, and all I'm doing is learning from that experience to take it to the next one. So I want to follow up with, of course we're talking about failure and why is it so bad, or not even so bad, but it's good at the same time. Yeah, it's good at the same time. But do you think all failure is good?
Yes, I do. As long as you're in a position to learn from it. As long as it all depends on the individual, to be honest with you. I think all failures are good as long as you're in a position to learn from it and bounce back. The only failure that will be a detriment to you is if you lose your own life, due to your failures.
And so then, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And when I was I was sitting down, just thinking about this question here, is all failure good? I said, I agree with you. If your mental is right and you're there with it and you can weather the storm, because that's all it really is it's a storm, and not all storms last forever.
Last forever.
I think
no
it's
storm lasts
good.
forever.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. But I was like, I'm 50-50 on this one, because if someone doesn't have the capacity to weather the storm, I don't know if all failure is good.
All failures are good as long as that person has the ability to pull themselves out of there. If you don't have the capacity to pull yourself out of there, the minute you give up is when you truly actually fail.
Okay.
If you have the ability to keep going, you get another chance to work at it, right? But the minute you just drop everything and say, hey, I'm out, that's true failure in its sense, where you're done, you're finito.
Yeah, at that point, you've missed out on opportunities to grow, to walk and grow, I should say. Chances to learn, to enhance your mindset a little bit more, because there's going to be difficult times. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind right now is just, what we have. We both have light. Thank God for Thomas Edison for not giving up, right? Because if it wasn't for him, I forgot exactly how many times that he said that he had to kind of reconstruct his idea. But imagine if that man decided to say, you know what, this ain't for me. I'm out. I'm not doing this no more. Who knows if we would have light today? So it just makes me think, just that question. All failure may not be good, but it's always good if you can get yourself through that storm in itself. And that's really, I want everybody to really understand that, because it's not going to be a storm that you're going to understand. It's not going to be something that you want to understand. No one wants to experience it, but in order for you to grow, you got to go through those growing pains that they say, right?
It's going to happen. But it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Even it could be a small example. I was going through school, with college, it's not going to be all rainbows and sunshine. Right?
Yeah.
You can be the smartest individual in the room, but you say what?
Go ahead.
Now, I was just saying, you could be the smartest individual in the room, but you're gonna find yourself in a position where you're challenged, and it's through those challenges that you learn to grow. And growth is beautiful. Growth is good for you. So accept those challenges and go through that storm, no matter what everybody else is saying.
Natural. Now, do you fear failing at all?
No. I embrace failure because it teaches me something that I did not know. What I don't like about it,
I absolutely.
What I don't like about it is the aspect where other people have to judge you for your failure. That's one thing you have no control over, right? It's always going to be there. You're always going to be judged for your failure. And that's unfortunate, because people don't really know where your heart and where your mind lies. But at the minute you recognize that you have, the confidence and the ability to get over that hump, the sky's the limit, no matter what anybody else says, right? And that's why I really appreciate the intimacy that I did, the relationship that I continue to build with my spiritual life, right? Because I know there's somebody out there that truly understands where I'm trying to get, no matter what anybody else has said. And I'm going to stick to that principle every morning when I get up, when I go through my gratitude prayers, when I go through, my appreciation for the opportunity to make a difference in the world, no matter what anybody else has said. So my action may not display what other people want me to do, but I know deep down what my heart desires. And my heart desires to have an impact on other people's life, a positive impact on other people's life, no matter what anybody else has said. So once you have that confidence in you, hey, you can say all you want.
Yeah. I will say though, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I fear failing, and I think because I fear it so much, that's what keeps me going, so that I don't experience it as much. So just learning so much and just trying to understand as much as possible. Now, of course, I don't shy away from it. I will say, like, if I fail, I fail. I'm okay with the acceptance of it. It's more of, if I can avoid it, I'm going to 110% avoid it. And that's by doing a little bit more learning or something else, reaching out to ask questions about something else. I'm going to do these small little things so that I could avoid having that experience. But I will say, absolutely. I mean, no, I don't want to. I mean, if it's between failure or a liar, I will 110% say I don't want to experience that failing aspect of it. It's just, being a liar. I mean, anybody can be. I'm not going to ever be that, but that lying aspect can just stay there. But failing is one of those things. It's like, I don't know about that one. That's a tough one it's a tough pill for me, at least, to swallow. And just kind of on a day-to-day basis, just doing certain things, it helps me understand, like, hey, if you don't do this, now you are in control of failing. And if you don't do it, I mean, who else is going to do it for you? So that's kind of where that
what has
mindset
helped
of
you through
coming
your
from.
failures?
What has helped me through my failures? That's a really great question. And because I've never really thought about what has helped me through it. But I think what has helped me the most is just reaching out, seeking for guidance, learning from others. That's the best thing I can ever say, because again, even if I've experienced, my failure is my failure, but my failure doesn't have to be someone else's. And so typically when I'm going through whatever I'm going through, I reach out for guidance, and that helps me navigate, helps me walk through the scenario a little bit differently. Because again, somebody may have been through it or they may have not, but their perspective could be entirely different as well. So I would just say reaching out and just seeking for help. That has been probably by far one of the things that has definitely helped me through my failures. Anything else other than that? I mean, on the day-to-day, I try to mitigate failure as much as possible. So even though, we experience it here and there, it doesn't faze me to the point where it's like, it's a daunting experience that I'm experiencing.
Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the last piece I kind of want to touch upon, but I know we spoke a little bit about, why failing could be good, and, what one can really learn from it. Because one thing that really comes to mind, top of mind, is, I know you love basketball. I do as well. And hearing the Michael Jordan quote of him saying, like, he missed, I think, like over 10,000 shots. And they still counted on him. I think it was 26 times in order for him to make that final shot, even after missing so many. It just really shows you that not giving up. I think if I want anybody to learn from failure, is just not giving up and being able to persist and be resilient towards whatever it is that you do fail at. Because a failure today probably won't be the same failure tomorrow. And in fact, if you actually fail, you can actually make it a bigger opportunity for yourself. And fuel that failure with ambition. Thrive. Give yourself that energy to go ahead and get it done. Just like a lot of people say, use that anger to get something positive done. So just kind of reverse the same thing with the failure aspect of it. But is there anything that you kind of want to share with anybody else that maybe, like, what failing is terrible? I don't know what these guys are talking about. Is there any last thing that you probably haven't already said?
I think you should look back to me, with the example that you used, the quote that you used. MJ is a prime example of that, and he has said that countless times. And we can look back today even at, at other athletes, whether it's LeBron, whether it's Kobe, how many buzzer beater these guys have missed, but that did not define their entire career, right? How many, playoff game where the game was on the line and LeBron did not finish, right? How many penalty kick in soccer where you have the best player, the best athletes in the world missing a penalty kick at the most crucial time in their lives, right? But that did not define their career. So it's really having that confidence and that ability to believe that you can pull yourself out of there and do better. So to me, what I could say here is that failure must be used as a trampoline towards success. If you just look at it as just what it is and accept it for what it is, you're doing a disservice to yourself. No matter what other people say, block out the noise. Accept those failure, but don't let it define you. There is always a solution at the end of the tunnel. Always. It's gonna take work. But there is a solution at the end of the tunnel, and you must put in the work to find that solution.
Yeah, and there you have it, guys. As you guys both heard it from both of us, most people fail. If you want to be in the history books, or you want to be the one in your family, the one who to do whatever, you must fail a little bit in order to weather that storm that others couldn't. Because that's ultimately what success is. I mean, you did something that somebody else couldn't do, and you found a way to get it done. And don't shy away from speaking about your failures, because everyone experiences it. No one just speaks on it. Yeah, we'll be the two individuals to speak on our failures, because we understand that everyone experiences it. And we're not going to shy away from that. And don't shy away from having those conversations. If you want to have those conversations with us, please let us know. Reach out to us and let us know how we can best help. But that wraps us up. Just before we go, though, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, and leave a review on the podcast. Please let us know where can we improve and anything that we can do to make this experience a little bit better for you.
Yes, Sirski.